opportunity, the Shine a Light Awards, to say thank you to people who've worked so hard and to celebrate the excellent practice that is out there. And there has been some excellent practice out there that goes on every day, often in the face of absolute adversity and difficulties, because we all know the changes are remarkably difficult at the moment. So I think the awards are proof of the importance of speech and language, but also the importance of collaboration and cooperation in supporting the needs of children who have speech and language communication needs. I'm delighted to be at this Pearson venue because I think it has one of the best views in the whole of London. If you haven't had a look, do go and have a look later. You can see up the river to Westminster and down the river to the city. I'll let you decide where most of the power sits in that way. But it's a beautiful view. So thank you to Pearson, who have supported the Shine a Light Awards and so much of the Trust work over the last year. And also thank you to BT, who sponsor both Hello and have been a long-term advocate of the importance of children's speech, language and communication. So the awards are to celebrate the very best that everybody has done. Apparently I need to give you some housekeeping arrangements before we get on to the exciting bit. I get the really exciting bit of the day, which are, the toilets are there. That's it, that's what I got, there. And if there is a fire alarm, there isn't one that's scheduled. If anybody needs any additional support to leave the building, our Pearson colleagues are over there. Please identify yourself. But let's hope not, because it's a very, very long way down, so that would be good if we didn't have that. Everybody here is part of a great success story. There is no doubt about that at all. The standard of entries that the judges were and part sitting over here had to go through was absolutely astonishing. And I think for someone who was there when the Berkeley Review started 5 years ago, and that work started, it is remarkable to see the brilliant work that's going out there and how many people entered wonderful standards of awards. And I was quite overwhelmed by how much there is there. So everybody today is a success story. You know that whole thing they do at the beginning of the award ceremony. If you haven't won, you're still successful by being here. And you're all thinking, I hope I've won. But I've got a line here to say, so don't let me make my own lines up anymore, because apparently I'm too controversial. What you all do is fantastic and should be greatly admired. I think that's a bit of an understatement, but it's true. It's absolutely true. So I should tell you that we're filming everything today. It is going on YouTube. Hopefully not one of the YouTube, here's a serious error that everybody's going to watch and laugh at later. Have you all seen the cat? No, okay, I'll give you a link to that later. But it's going to be on YouTube later, and there are going to be lots of film clips and photos of the event for you to be able to use locally, for you to be able to signpost other people to, because in this room we are the converted. Yes? We are the people who know. Unfortunately, I reckon there's probably about 50 million people in the country who don't know. So part of what Hello needs to do and part of what Shine a Light needs to do is take it from the converted to the world out there. So thank you so much for being here. And finally, I get to introduce the host for the event, which I'm exceptionally excited about because I've been a long-term fan, not least because she works inordinately long days and hours, still looks great, and then still I've just heard goes out partying in the evening, which makes me, who goes to sleep at about 7 o'clock in the evening now if I get a chance, my baby lets me feel absolutely filled with awe. So I want to introduce you to the host for the rest of the evening, Vanessa Feltz. Thank you.
I'm so honoured to be here. I have been told that you are the best of the best, of the very, very best, cream of the crop, the top of the heap, the pick of the entire country. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. I tried to work out before I came just how much of my week I spend talking and talking and talking and talking, and it's absolutely terrifying. You know, I do a show 5 days a week on Radio 2 before Chris Evans in the morning. That's an hour and a half, not counting the half an hour talking and arguing with my producer before I start. So call that 10 hours a week of talking. And then I do a show on BBC London Radio from 9 till 12 every day too. And that involves talking and talking, mostly arguing with MPs and with local councillors and members of the public, having a good old shouting match for a good 3 hours then. And then I go home and I have a good old chat with my 10 years younger fiancé, because I have to keep him interested in these things. I chat with him, and then I've got my 2 adult children who have boomeranged back, to my absolute delight. They left and they came back to their mommy, so I'm delighted. I've got 2 daughters, one is a 25-year-old lawyer, one is a 22-year-old teacher, and I find it essential to tell them what to do about everything, because I don't think they at least need to know what to rebel against. If they don't know how I feel, how can they disobey me, right? And then this year I did 120 TV shows on Channel 5. That was every afternoon with the lovely fiancé. You may remember him sitting at the end of the sofa. I didn't let him get many words in at all. So how many hours a week am I busily communicating something to somebody? I never stop it, and I write in the newspapers and magazines and everything else. And it's quite true that somebody who does it naturally and spends their time, as I do, inviting other people, phone, join in, tell me how you feel, add your weight to the argument, have your say, come on, put your point of view, this is London's biggest conversation, come and join me in it, etc., etc. It's very easy to take for granted, isn't it, that everybody can join in any conversation, and everybody, once they're brave enough, can stand up and put their thoughts across easily and be easily understood. And I wonder how often I've spared a thought for people who maybe can't just pick up the phone and say what they think, but of course feel passionately and deeply and intelligently and everything about absolutely everything, but wouldn't find it easy just to ring up and have a chat with me about whatever it is. And I think possibly I haven't considered them nearly often enough, and certainly after this I will think of them every day as I talk easily about joining in a conversation. So I am so privileged to be here, I can't tell you. I am so delighted that you're all here, and this is, although it seems terribly formal and rather dry, this is a great celebration. This is really supposed to be a party. To say, you are the very man, everyone's looking so deadly serious. This is not a lecture, I'm not going to teach you anything, we're not in church or synagogue, we're not in, come on, lighten up everybody. This is the good bit, this is the special time where you're being told fantastic, and some of you are going to get one of those really great gongs. And well, I've been to enough things where I've been nominated and haven't won, and you have to smile when the other person. And they go, and the winner is, and I'm like, yeah, come on, let it be me, come on. And the winner is Esther Rantzen. But usually when it's me, there's a television camera right up your nose. And you're like, the winner is Esther Rantzen. And you know what you want to do. So I do know what it's like both to be nominated, and occasionally I do win, often I don't win, but I know the feeling you're meant to have, and it's absolutely genuine. Is it brilliant to be here at all? It means that you really are the cream of the crop. So shall we get on with it? Yeah. Desperate to know who's won everything? Okay. Okay, so first of all I had to thank Anita. And I told she's very good on the hoof, and she is, isn't she? She didn't know what she was going to say until 1 second before she said it. Very, very impressed by Anita. And you've got a new baby as well, do you know that? Hasn't he slept for how long? 8 weeks now?
I don't think I've slept for 8 weeks.
She hasn't slept for 8 weeks. I think, come on, she hasn't slept for 8 weeks. About all of this is just by being here you realise that we are pioneers. Do you know this is the very first one? Only we can say in all of history that we were here at the very first one, the first ever Shine a Light 2011 Awards. So congratulations to each and every one of you. You know why you're here on this fabulous first floor of the Pearson building. It's because of the dedication and the passion that you all have for supporting children and young people's communication, and also for the work you've done in supporting and advocating for children and young people with speech, language and communication needs and their families. So I was surprised, and I know when I talk about this on the radio tomorrow, which you just try and stop me doing, I'll be talking about it non-stop. I was surprised to hear that there are a million children and young people in the UK with some form of communication difficulty. I know you know that, but I didn't know, I had no idea. And of course, you know that these difficulties can affect them very seriously, very severely, and for the rest of their lives if they're not dealt with and addressed promptly and quickly and in the best possible way. I was even more shocked to find out that in areas of social deprivation, upwards of 50% of children can start school with delayed language, which means they're on the back foot for the rest of their educational lives. So So it's vitally important that communication is addressed, and it's terribly wrong that all too often this is an area which is misunderstood and is taken for granted. And the whole point of this afternoon is to show that you're not being taken for granted and you're going to be absolutely acknowledged and rewarded appropriately. So everybody should be very proud just to be here this afternoon. And I think without further ado, let's kick off with the very first award this afternoon. And the first award is the Communication Friendly Award. And in this section, we are looking at the Communication Friendly Early Years, Nursery Communication Friendly Primary School and Communication Friendly Secondary School. So the judges of the Communication Friendly category were looking for outstanding settings that prioritise language and communication, and they aimed for all their children to be good talkers and good listeners. And actually, my younger daughter's doing teacher training, and she's told me all about being a first responder. Do you know all about that? I never even heard of that before. Your first responder, do you know what that means? You must all know what that means. It means that if you're asked to do something, you do it straight, you respond first time. You don't have to be asked several times to do it. And she's being taught to teach how to be a first responder. So you do respond straight away to what you're asked to do. Blimey, she expects her mother to do the same thing. Not sure I fancy that at all. Anyway, so the judges of the Communication Friendly category were looking for outstanding settings and that prioritised children being good talkers and listeners, and it was one of the most popular categories of all. We wanted to learn how those settings supported children with speech, language and communication needs, and how they worked to engage their parents around communication, and also how they supported their staff. To tell us more, it gives me tremendous pleasure to bring up to the stage Helen Moylett, an early years specialist, and Neil Mercer, Professor of Education at Cambridge University, my own alma mater, may I say, two of the judges from the Communication Friendly Judging Panel. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. It's a great honour to be here, especially in such wonderful company, and of course with the excuse to drink champagne at 3 o'clock. Which even at Cambridge we don't do that often. Really.
Not every day.
No, not every day. So why is it so important? Well, as I tell the students on our courses, if you go into a preschool child's home and you record how much talk they're involved in, just the quantity of talk they're involved in, you can make a fairly good prediction about how well they'll be doing at school when they're a teenager. And if you look at the quality of that talk, you can make an even better prediction. Now, for some children, fortunately, those predictions are wrong, and they do much better than one would have expected from that sample of their early years experience. What makes the difference? Well, if you investigate, you're likely to find the differences made by their experience in an early years setting or in school. For some children, there's a lot of variation in what children experience in language, in spoken language out of school. And there's a lot of variation in school. For some children, the nursery school and the later stages of primary and secondary are the only hope of overturning their fate, of actually achieving their potential. Now, this isn't just a matter of hearing children's voices, letting them speak in school, although that is important, and it's something we want to happen more. Those settings, the nursery settings and schools, need also to provide the guidance, the models for how language is used, and sometimes the instruction for how to use this wonderful tool of language for learning, for thinking, and for getting on with life generally. And it's not just children who have some kind of special communication needs. Every child has some communication needs, and every child can develop their communication skills. What we need to do is make those opportunities possible for all those children. But that's a lot to ask, isn't it? I mean, it's a lot to ask of teachers and nursery practitioners in these times. We know how difficult these times are. And they don't always get the recognition they should get from those fellows up the road, or up the river, we might say. And I think we might be the converted, but I just hope that this message converts some people up there as well, because it really is important. Some schools and some nursery, some early years settings achieve something exceptional. And they're the ones that we're recognising here today. We've seen some wonderful applications for these awards, some wonderful submissions. And it's been very, very difficult to make a choice. Really difficult. But you know, that's the job, isn't it? You're a judge, you make the choice. And so that's what we've tried to do. And so our awards today are trying to recognise these exceptional achievements. Okay, I'll pass over now to...
Well, either of us gets to open the envelope, you know, in the Oscar tradition. But just before I do, I just want to give you a warning about your goodie bags. I am an early years person, and I'm still an early years practitioner, and when I see something in a goodie bag, I explore it. There was a squidgy thing, and I thought, I wonder what's in here, and I tore it open, and all this coffee came out into my goodie bag. So my goodie bag is sitting over there. If you want a whiff of fresh coffee, that's fine. Anyway, that's the warning. Now I'm going to get on with the proper business and tell you who's actually won. Right. Well, it gives me great pleasure to say that the 3 winners of the Communication Friendly Setting Awards are the University of East Anglia Nursery Team, Watercliff Meadow School in Sheffield, and Preston Manor High School in Wembley. Each of these settings just very briefly so that everyone can share what they've been doing before Vanessa presents them with their awards. So in selecting the University of East Anglia Nursery Team as the winner of the Early Years category, the judges were thoroughly impressed with the work of Angela May and her team. In particular, we were impressed with the level of staff training and professional development that goes on to support those staff, to support children, all children with their early communication development, and they're achieving fantastic results. The nursery's efforts to support children with communication needs are also supported really well by the families with whom they do a lot of work as well. So we were very, very impressed. As regards Watercliff Meadow Primary School, that was selected as the winner of the primary school category because the judges found a school that is dedicated to helping local children with delayed communication skills to catch up, so that they have the best opportunity to succeed at school, just like their peers. They were also impressed with the many innovative programmes introduced by the school, such as Plans for Play and the Communication Cafe, which are also achieving amazing results for the community and the children. And finally, Preston Manor School, who won the Secondary School Award. The work being done by the head teacher, Matthew Lantos, as well as Tricia Lane and Maria Underwood, and all the other staff at the school is really fantastic and making a huge difference to the development of the young people that attend that school, getting them ready to enter the workplace or higher education with all those vital communication skills that they need. So well done to all 3 of you. Take your awards from Vanessa.
We'll do one at a time. So the first
Shall we have the University of East Anglia Nursery Team first?
Congratulations, well done.
And Preston Manor? Sorry, I went out of order then. I just keep you on Watercliff Meadows.
Stick it on the wall. Congratulations. Thanks.
We're also also delighted to present the following highly commended certificates to these outstanding schools. For the early years category, it's Magdalene, well, it could be Magdalene, couldn't it? Magdalene Gates Preschool in Norwich.
Congratulations, well done.
Next, the Sunny Skies Day Nursery from West Bromwich.
So that's brilliant. So we can say.
And next we have the primary schools. If we can ask you all to come up in turn. Russell Jones School from Walsall.
It's climbing over the Christmas shopping. Congratulations.
Foley Park School in Kidderminster.
Also climbing over the Christmas shopping. Congratulations.
Brixton Chase School from Harrogate. And finally, the secondary school category, Icans Dawn House School in Nottinghamshire. Spread around. And finally, St Hugh's School in Woodhall Spa.
Brilliant. You've got to remember. Yeah.
Well done, everybody. Thank you so much to Helen and Neil. Next up, we're looking at the Teams of the Year award categories. This includes the Team of the Year, Speech and Language Therapy Team of the Year, and Multi-Agency Team of the Year. And this set of awards will highlight to you the commitment that those teams have made to nurturing children and young people's communication and the difference that they've made to the area of speech, language and communication needs. Again, this is a very, very popular category, and the judges sought to discover innovative practice and work out how the teams have worked collaboratively with others to make communication a priority. Please put your hands together for Kamini Gadhok, Chief Executive of the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists, and Wendy Lee, Professional Director of the Communication Trust. They'll tell us even more.
Kamini and I and a group of judges had to look at a number of teams and decide really which were the best teams in the same way as we did for all of the judging categories. And it, I have to say, was hugely difficult. I think we had the worst and most taxing job of all. The quality of the applications was absolutely outstanding, and what came through in all of the applications was the real passion and drive and commitment for all of the people around children's communication skills, whether that be universal skills, communication for all children, or for those children with speech, language and communication needs. So we were comparing maybe a universal service across a whole authority to really kind of quite a small service for children with maybe very complex needs or children with specific language impairments. So as I say, we really did have the most taxing job of all. So really I'd like to hand over to Kamini to say who the lucky winners are.
Okay, so as before, I'm going to read out the three winners first and then just give a description of why they won the prize, and then we'll be inviting them up. So if you bear with me. So the three winners are the play and communication team from Barking and Dagenham. This is going to be a competition now. The early years teams from Stoke-on-Trent City Council. The paediatric speech and language therapy service from Newham. The entries were absolutely fantastic, and we really found it difficult to judge between them all in terms of trying to make a decision. But let's just give you a flavour of why they were selected. So the play and communication team were selected for Team of the Year award because of the incredible work that they do in Barking and Dagenham, led by their outstanding manager, Lilani. This dedicated team of play and communication workers, as well as speech and language therapists, are really making great strides in improving the communication skills of local children who live in one of the most deprived areas of the country. In most other areas, the judges were one of the areas that the judges were particularly impressed with was the impact being achieved across universal, targeted and specialist services, and the active engagement of parents. As we all know, it's really important that we engage parents in everything that we do. Now, moving on to Stoke, the early years teams from Stoke-on-Trent have been selected for the multi-agency Team of the Year award because of the incredible work that they've been doing in working across a whole range of professionals, and it consists of a quality team and an intervention team who work together to offer high quality support for children in Stoke, especially around early communication. And the outstanding work of this team has led to more than 4,000 local practitioners being trained with incredible results, and a number of children with significant language delay being reduced on a year-on-year basis, so well done to you. And finally, the Speech and Language Therapy Team of the Year has been awarded to the Paediatric Service in Newham. This amazing team of speech therapists work extremely hard to meet the complex needs of children within a complex and linguistically, culturally within a culturally and linguistically, I can't pronounce the word, diverse borough that is Newham. And in selecting the team for the award, the judges were really impressed with the team's use of evidence-based approaches and the importance that they bestowed in involving the wider family to support language development. So I'm delighted to ask you all to come up and collect your awards. One at a time again, I suppose. If we start with Barking and Dagenham. Yeah. And the next team are the early years teams from Stoke-on-Trent City Council. And finally, the speech and language therapy team from Newham.
Okay, so in addition to that, we did recommend a number of runners-up for the Highly Commended Award. So we're delighted to be presenting the certificates to the following outstanding teams, and I shall read through all the teams and then invite them up individually. So for the Team of the Year, the Speech and Language Therapy team from Swindon. waving so we know where you are. I don't know who we're clapping at. There you go. Okay. The Aphasic Youth Project team from North East London. Okay, the Paediatric Speech and Language Therapy team at the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital in London. And for the speech and language therapy teams, the speech and language therapy team based at Morehouse School. And Nottinghamshire speech and language therapy team that works in children's centres. And finally for the multi-agency teams, the multi-agency communication aids team from Lincolnshire. And Plymouth Speech, Language and Communication Aids group. Okay, so firstly the speech and language therapy team from Swindon. Come on. The Aphasic Youth Team project. And the Paediatric Speech and Language Therapy team from the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital. Okay. And the speech and language therapy teams, firstly the team based at Morehouse School.
Congratulations.
Okay, and Nottinghamshire speech and language therapy team. Okay, and finally the multi-agency teams, the communication aids team from Lincolnshire. These guys fought for the survival of their AAC provision. And finally, the Plymouth SL Speech, Language and Communication Needs Group.
An award and first time on YouTube as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much to those ladies. We'd also like to thank the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists for sponsoring the Speech and Language Therapy Team of the Year and for their support of Hello. Well, our next category is the Communication Strategy and Commissioning Strategy. The Communication Strategy Award was created especially to celebrate outstanding examples of multi-agency, community-wide strategies to improve children's communication development. And the Commissioning Award was created especially to celebrate excellence in joined-up commissioning and services for speech, language and communication. Through this award, we want to showcase local authorities, NHS trusts and other bodies all working together to plan speech, language and communication services across their local communications so children and their families have access to the very best support possible. Clearly, it's a very important category indeed.
So to tell us more, we have two presenters who've been making an enormous difference in this area and influencing policy and practice at both national and local levels. So please do join me in welcoming to the stage Jean Gross, the government's communication champion for children. Actually, she was a tremendous guest on my radio show. She was phenomenal. And Dame Claire Tickle, the Chief Executive of Action for Children.
Hello everybody, this is just lovely. It's like a room full of all my favourite people. We've been hearing about the awards for the people who on the ground, face to face, make such a huge difference to their daily work with children and families. Now we're doing something quite different. We're talking about people who have strategies and do commissioning, and that might sound rather dull, you know, not as wonderful as communication friendly nursery school and all that, but I know from my work that it is the people who have the money and the strategies and the thinking who make the work on the ground happen. Their work is absolutely vital. It's not always very glamorous, but it is fundamental to better outcomes for children and young people. I often use a metaphor for everything that can go wrong for services for children with speech language communication needs. Some of you will have heard me use it before. The metaphor is this, that in a shared house, nobody does the washing up. I will explain. Many of you have been students. You remember the shared flats with the washing up? Yes, you remember that, yeah? Because it was, you could always say, it's somebody else's washing up. It's not mine, nothing to do with me. Now I'm afraid parents are often on the wrong end of this because health bodies can say about speech, language and communication needs, it's not our job, these children are in school, it must be education who pays for what they need. Equally, education can say, well, health employs speech and language therapists, so it's not down to us, over to you to pay for it. And every parent in this room who's been through this system knows you get batted from one to the other. So we really know there's only one solution to this, which is commissioners from both health and education, local authorities, coming together to put what little money they have left back in the same pot. So at least they can say, we've got this money, what are we going to do with it? What do we both want to do with it that will work best for our children and families? Now, such joint action of thinking together is still sadly quite rare. And that's why we wanted an award to celebrate it, to celebrate the wonderful work that is happening in some parts of the country. The other thing I found from my travels is that good commissioners aren't to be found everywhere. It's a really difficult job. And when you find them, they are absolute gold dust. So we have some of that gold dust in that room, and much more out there, but some of the goldest gold dust here. But in our award winner and in our runners-up, highly commended runners-up. And then we have another award in an equally important category, and that is for a community-wide strategy of the year. And what the judges were looking there for were people who thought, well, there's all those children out there, all those families, what can we do to bring different agencies together to meet their needs? How can we have a strategy that will try to reach everybody as far as we can, for perhaps an age group or for all age groups? Now, the judging panel I chaired for these awards was extremely illustrious. I'm severely outflanked by dames, professors, and all these people, not least by the wonderful Dame Claire, but also Professor Jeff Lindsay, Virginia Beardshaw, the ICANN Chief Executive, and Amanda Riles, who's a member of the National Communication Council, and where, from her perspective as a parent of a child with speech language communication needs, she's just provided the most incredibly powerful insights for policymakers. So I would like to thank all of that panel for the work they did on the judging. The 10 shortlisted applicants in each of these categories, that was a lot, and we honed it down. They were amazing, they were really outstanding quality, and one of the things I need to say is that everybody who isn't going to actually win today but is highly commended was at least one judge's best. You know, judges, they're not a homogeneous group, they all think different things, so you were always the best for somebody, but we had to make the decision. And so now I'd like to hand over to Dame Claire to tell us who won the prizes, the ultimate award.
This was so hard, actually. Thank you, Jean. It was so difficult, and I was part of this conversation about, oh, should we have this one, should we have this one? It was so difficult because it actually, depending on which lens you looked through, you could have made everybody the best. However, the winners of the Communication Strategy and Commissioning Awards are Every Sheffield Child Articulate and Literate from Sheffield, Worcester City Council and NHS Worcestershire. A job blocked, but Jean's now going to explain.
That's right. So they're two separate ones. Sheffield ESCAL is for the community-led strategy, and the Worcestershire team, NHS Worcestershire, Worcestershire Council for the Commissioning Award. So we invite them. You're going to tell us a bit about
Yeah, I will.
now?
I'm so sorry. In selecting the Sheffield one, the Every Sheffield Child Articulate and Literate, for the communication strategy, the judges were enormously impressed with Sheffield's community-wide strategy to improve children's communication skills, and I only wish we could actually roll that out everywhere, because life would be so much easier and better if we could. Through its ethos that literacy and language, everyone's business, this strategy is making truly amazing strides to ensure that every child is listened to and is able to express themselves confidently, which is so essential to their chances in life. The judges were also incredibly impressed with the work being undertaken in Sheffield to reach vulnerable children. I was really, really impressed by that personally. It's one of the things that I looked for most of all, because of the work that we do for Action for Children. And those who may otherwise struggle to access the service they need. This was a fabulous, fabulous piece of work, so well done, Sheffield. Now the real surprise, which is the Commissioning Award, which funnily enough goes to Worcester City Council. The judges on this were absolutely delighted to present this award because of the joint commissioning of children's health services being undertaken and the impressive results this is achieving. As Jean said, there's so little money around at the moment, so actually people who genuinely are working together are truly to be celebrated, because that absolutely is pretty much the only way forward. Key to this success has been the excellent joint review that took place in 2009, which has allowed the City Council and the NHS Trust to ensure that children, young people and their families are benefiting from more consistent standards across the piece of service provision and delivery. We were also incredibly impressed with the effort being made by the Council and the Trust to share their experience with others, because at the moment, if you don't talk about it to other people and think about ways of sharing it, there's a real risk that it gets lost in your particular local authority area. So well done. Really, really impressive. And do you want to come up and get your award? Well done.
We're also delighted to present the highly commended certificates to the runners-up in first the Strategy Award and then the Commissioning. So the Strategy Award, first of all, Camden Local Authority and Whittington Health Speech and Language Service. This has been a wonderful piece of work across secondary schools, working local authority health service together with their secondary schools to improve that group, and we wanted to give an award because that was such an important group. And then we have Stoke Speaks Out from Stoke-on-Trent. Many of you know about the wonderful work in Stoke, of which you may hear more later. It has been one of the most influential strategies in the country. For the commissioning category, a certificate and great praise to Buckinghamshire County Council and NHS Buckinghamshire and Oxfordshire PCT cluster. Gold Dust Commissioning. These are people who really know how to invite youngsters to a pizza party to tell them what they want from their services. Their involvement of users was absolutely magnificent. lastly to NHS Kent and Medway for their amazing commissioning. First visited Kent early on my travels and thought, goodness, if everybody did it like them, wouldn't it be wonderful? They are terrific working Kent. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Now we're moving on to a very exciting award category, the Hello Young Person of the Year Award and the Employee Support Award. Entrants of the Hello Young Person of the Year Award could be any age. And judges were absolutely amazed by the number of outstanding young people with speech, language and communication needs, making an enormous difference to themselves and to other children just like them. Many of them have had overcome difficulties to achieve unimaginable success. A huge thank you goes to BT for sponsoring this particular category. The Employee Support Award was a unique category created to celebrate excellence by employers. The employers who decided to prioritise and support communication in the workplace. We were looking for organisations that provided opportunities for young people with communication difficulties, and we were not disappointed. To present these very special awards, we have two very special presenters, Steve Kelly from BT and Sally Thomas, a parent of a child with communication difficulties and a campaigner in this particular area. So please do put your hands together as they present us.
Everyone. My name is Sally Thomas and I'm delighted to be here today to present the Young Person of the Year Award and the Employee Support Award with Steve. As a mother of a daughter, Lily, who was diagnosed with delayed speech and language at a young age, I hope that I'm actually well placed to talk a little bit about these awards and how important they are. Through my own experience, I know that children with communication needs have overcome many hurdles and challenges in their lives. Children and young people with speech, language and communication needs can experience many barriers and can be left feeling very frustrated and isolated from their peer groups. When my own daughter was little, she would get extremely frustrated at times when she was trying to tell us something and we didn't understand her. And this would lead to terrible temper tantrums, and it was heartbreaking to know that this was all down to Lily's speech. However, because of the help and intervention that Lily has had and still receives for her speech and language from professionals like many of you out here today, she is achieving at school and she does enjoy school life. She is happy to talk in front of the whole class and involve herself in many activities, although it has taken many years to get to this point. For any parent to hear from a child's teacher that your child is in the gifted and talented reading group and will read aloud for her peers is a very proud moment. But when a child who didn't talk for many years does this, it's a moment like this that is absolutely truly amazing. And this is what Lily has achieved, and also what our young Shine a Light winner today has accomplished. Working as I do in a secondary school, I see on a daily basis how delayed speech, language and communication can affect a young person and the negative impact it can have on their progress. However, I can also see how hard young people with communication needs work and how they face and overcome many challenges and hurdles in order to gain the qualifications and succeed in life. I know, therefore, that all the young people with us today have been on a very difficult journey, but despite that, they have been immensely courageous and have many personal achievements to be proud of. Having a Young Person of the Year category is important because it enables us to show that young people with communication needs can achieve and that we are extremely proud of them. We also need to do as much as possible to give them the opportunities in life, and so I'm delighted that we have an award for employers so that when Lily is ready to work, she has the same opportunities as any young person to earn a living and be independent. So I'd like to thank you for listening to me, and I'll now hand over to Steve to announce the winners.
Thanks Sally, thanks everyone. As I mentioned, I'm Steve Kelly from BT, and I'm delighted to be here to announce the Young Person and Employee Support winners. I've had the pleasure of working with the Communication Trust team this year, and we all know how hard they've worked to make the campaign a success. It's also so wonderful to see so many people here today being recognised for their truly outstanding contributions. So a huge well done from everyone at BT. I don't want to keep the winners waiting any further. Therefore, I'm pleased to announce the winners of the Young Person of the Year and Employee Support Award are Jack Marshall from Doncaster, and the cooperative store in Nottinghamshire, which is managed by Tina Hindley. And let me tell you some information about Jack and Tina that make them such worthy winners. We'll start with Jack, who is a truly outstanding young man. Not only has Jack raised thousands of pounds for charity, he's also actively working to raise awareness of speech, language and communication issues so that other young people are better understood. Jack has also recently made a speech at the House of Lords, and Jack's speech helped him achieve a distinction in his English Speaking Board examination. Jack's also been named Yorkshire Disabled Person of the Year, and these are truly amazing achievements for someone the professionals said would never walk or talk. Jack is truly an inspiration to us all, and he's only 13 years old. Well done. Tell you a bit more info about Tina and her colleagues from the cooperative store in Clipstone, Nottinghamshire. Tina and her team's efforts at the co-op have been excellent, and they've been able to offer numerous work experience opportunities to young people with communication needs. Tina's strong leadership and commitment to making a difference have resulted in many young people with speech, language and communication needs having benefited from work experience. These are opportunities that probably would not have been available to them otherwise. Tina and the cooperative have set an example that we hope other employees will follow. Tina, would you like to come up to the stage?
The highly commended runners-up for Young Person and Employee Support Award. The highly commended runners-up of the Young People of the Year category are Angus Smith and Rebecca Tyler. The highly commended runner-up of the Employee Support Award is MENCAP, the National Charity for People with a Learning Disability.
get to meet some very nice people at this event, don't you? Thoroughly enjoying it so far. Everybody enjoying it so far? Yes! Tea time not long away now, let me assure you. So if I can hear rumbling time, it's not much longer. All right, we have just one more award category to go before we announce the recipients of the Outstanding Achievement Awards. And that award category is the Hello Campaign Award. You said the award twice there. It's the award, and here we go. This award was created to celebrate an outstanding contribution towards the aims of the Hello Campaign, National Year of Communications. Over 2011, a massive, absolutely amazing work has been taking place all the way across the country, and there are now over 200 Hello local coordinators supporting the campaign efforts, which is amazing. To present this award, let's welcome back to the stage Anita Kerwin-Lai, the Director of the Communication Trust. I did tell them they had to woo, otherwise I was sacked. So, and I've noticed we're very behind on the schedule, so that's also very us too. So I'm going to catch up. It really does give me great pleasure to announce this award. It's been 5 years since we proposed there should be a national year of speech, language and communication. And we didn't expect the government to say yes. Then the government changed after saying yes, and then they said maybe, and then they said yes, but only if you have a third of the money. Do you know when you kind of think, I'm not sure if that's a good deal or not? Well, it was a deal, so we took it. Thank you to BT and to Pearson's who jumped in to help us. Thank you also, though, to a wonderful team, and I will say that the staff team have worked amazingly over the year, particularly the campaign coordinator, Andrew Ball, who's sitting in the audience over there, and the remarkable team that works with him. So I have to pay them credit, otherwise I can't get them to work for the rest of the year, and there's 2 months left. But it does matter, because as I said before, we are the converted. The reason I'm so delighted to see colleagues from the cooperative here is because actually, you know what, they've got no reason, really, to be interested in speech and language, because it is not their day job. And I think it is remarkable that we have employers who care enough to do those things. And that's what Hello must do, and has done. So I am delighted, after 5 years of wrangling, to get this. And for those of you who heard about a baby earlier, so 5 years campaigning to get a national year, go on maternity leave at the beginning of January in the national year. So thank you, particularly to Jean, who kept it going over the last sort of 6 to 8 months, to the team and to all you wonderful coordinators. But now, because I have to make up time, I'm going to go straight to the campaign winners. And I'm delighted to announce that the winner of the Hello Campaign Award is the Bristol Hello Group. Wrong. Wasn't there a gorilla in this one? Yeah, okay. I'm still working around that. Maybe someone can explain that to me later. But the judges were impressed by Bristol's strong innovation and creativity, hence the gorilla. I think there were some other packages as well. The Hello Group focused very clearly on their target audience and managed to include the whole city in the project. And I've seen some of the work they did, and it was remarkable. But perhaps most importantly, they laid down a good long-term strategic foundation, including communication champions in schools. So I'm delighted to invite Rebecca Cross and Sarah Rolls, who led the group, up onto the stage to collect their award. That mattered, and I'm off script, so the whole team are going, oh my god. The first is, in each category, there were 10 shortlisted candidates. Beyond that, there were hundreds of applications. And I think that's a point that's not being made today, and it's really important to say. And those 10 shortlisted people in each category, each of them could have won it. So to go away today with an award or with a highly commended is a remarkable achievement from the hundreds of applications we had across the piece, and I think that's a really important point to make. The second point I'd like to make, I was at the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists Giving Voice Awards a little while ago,
Wonderful to reward all the brilliant therapists and therapy assistants in the country, remarkable event. But I formed a theory, and that is that therapists wear higher heels than anybody else. And so what I wanted to check in the session after this is to go around, if someone's wearing really high heels, ask them if they're a speech and language therapist, because I'm running a little survey. And I think the answer would be yes. And teachers, like me, flat shoes. Actually very practical. So, having put that divide in the room when we're trying to get into collaborative working, I'm really delighted now to ask Vanessa to present highly commended runners-up certificates for the Hello campaign to the Community Children's Service in Cambridgeshire. And to Tracy Spence, a speech and language advisory teacher that works for Luton Council.
Okay, now you're not allowed to run out of applause yet because we're now going to present 3 very special awards indeed, and these are the awards for outstanding achievement. The first will be presented by Jean Gross, so I'm delighted to welcome Jean back to the stage.
This is where, for the outstanding achievements, you have not just to clap, but stand up, standing ovations following, you know. Get into this, we've been too polite. Outstanding achievement is a discretionary award category with its own separate panel, and it was created to recognise and celebrate those who've really gone beyond the call of duty, or just achieved the most amazing results in supporting children with communication needs. So all the winners from each of the separate categories were automatically entered for this extra panel to look at. But also the panel could look beyond that, and they looked at everything. So this is a very interesting award. It's not quite Croft's Best in Show, just to wag your tails. It's a bit of a mixture of that and lifetime achievement, and just, this person is completely wonderful, and we want to say so. So it's quite unique. There are 3 awards for outstanding achievement, and I'm just going to talk about the first. Or are there 4? No, 3. I'm going to talk about the first one, and there's 2 others. The first award goes to the Stoke Speaks Out campaign. Now this... I'll tell you when to get up and do this standing ovation. You need orchestrating, I think. Now you've heard already, they've been up and down already quite a bit, Stoke, but I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about them because they mean a lot to me personally. Why is this campaign outstanding? Well, I first heard about it long ago, before I became communication champion. I heard about it from the National Literacy Trust Talk to Your Baby website and newsletter, where they were telling us about some wonderful things that were going on around the country. And as I learned more and more about what they were up to, I looked at the results and I just kept saying to myself, this can't be true. Wow, it can't be possible. Just listen to this. Listen. In 2004, speech and language therapists stopped work for a week and went and assessed, well, they were still working, but they stopped therapizing, took off their high heels, and went into every nursery in Stoke-on-Trent. And they assessed every child, and they found that in 2004, 64% of Stoke's children at age 3.5 were seriously delayed in language, such that had they lived in Wokingham or Surrey, they would have been straight off to a speech and language therapist, but you can't actually do that for 64% of your population. By 2010, Stoke Speaks Out had brought that figure down from 64% to 39%. Now 39% is still 39% too many, so you know, they've got to keep on working and they're still working. But I've spent my whole life working on children's issues and I've never seen anything with that impact, and it was part of that that made me think this is not only, when we're looking at language delay, the kind of difficulties that are not biologically based, but are perhaps socially determined, that we actually can do something about this. It's a solvable problem. And how did they do it? As we've heard, they just simply trained people. Everybody from midwives to health visitors to early years practitioners, librarians, school staff, lunchtime supervisors, and firemen and policemen. They just got to everybody who had anything to do with children and taught them about children's communication and how they could support it. They invented their own awards, and they have an award that settings work to, schools and settings, so that they get their own award for being a communication supportive school or setting. They got lots of messages to parents. They have a great website. They dress up in silly clothes and go out in the city centre and give out balloons and all sorts of things. They're not afraid to make fools of themselves at every opportunity. Then later on I met Janet Cooper, who has led this campaign. And I want to tell you a little about Janet. She's a modest and unassuming person, but she knows how to talk to people, whoever they are and wherever they are. She coined the phrase, communication is everybody's business. And that's a really good message we need to get to everybody. It's everybody's business. And that's why she brought so many different partners and professionals across Stoke together. She speaks a language Stoke-on-Trent's parents understand. So, and I've just learned so much from her. She has this way of talking. So, for example, when talking to parents who want to go out at Christmas and buy elaborate, expensive toys that have buttons and switches and do all those amazing things, Janet will say, just remember, as a parent, you're the best toy in the box. You're the best toy in the box. The team also know how to reach out to their parents who might not find it easy to access information. So they know that some of the parents they deal with aren't literate, they can't read. So when they were doing some fun activities around a quiz about communication with little questions, they didn't give out a written quiz. As well as that, they recorded the questions on little buttons called talking tins that you can record a question, play it back, and it'll speak to you. So they have that attention to thinking about how do we get to people right the way through. And lastly, less glamorously, but really importantly, they understood the importance of measuring the outcomes of what you do and of gathering the data on impact. And they understand how change happens in phases, how you do one thing and then you embed it, and then gradually you can pull back, which is what they've been able to do over the years, so that they no longer have to work so intensively because they've passed the job over to all those firemen, policemen and lunchtime supervisors. And they have this rare combination of big strategic brains and a common sense, down-to-earth messages that reach out to local people. So for me, Stoke-on-Trent have given me the data to tell politicians that we can do something about this. They've kind of underpinned some of the things that come out of Claire's wonderful review. They've given us a hope and a message, and a lot of people have followed their example. So could I invite them to come up now? And could you stand on your feet?
And all that, absolutely tremendous. Okay, thanks to Jean, and congratulations once again to Stoke Speaks Out, a truly worthy winner. The next award will be presented by Chris Hall and Leslie Munro from Pearson Assessment. They're sponsoring the Shine the Light Awards. Let's welcome them onto the stage.
Okay, right, first of all, let me welcome you all here on behalf of Pearson. I would like to say that this is my favourite floor in the building. Our offices 17 floors down in the sub-basement aren't quite as nice. And the view of the recycling bins of the office block next door is not a patch on this. I'm often asked why Pearson Assessment is involved in the national year. And I think for me the answer is twofold. One personal and one professional. On the professional level, Pearson, as one of the world's leading education companies, has a responsibility to all students and learners. Our Chief Executive, Margie Scardino, is a passionate believer in all forms of education, and the key focus of the company is to help people of all ages progress their lives through learning by raising literacy levels, improving learning outcomes, and contributing to competitiveness. From my own team in Pearson Assessment, it's actually closer to our heart. What we do is develop tests and assessments for everyone in this room, for therapists, Senkos, teachers. I mean, obviously we're a large commercial organisation, but one of the great things about working here is actually what we do and the customers that we work with. Yes, we have to make a profit, but developing market-leading assessments that help detect communications that then lead to corrective interventions is a great place to work. But this is only part of the solution, which is why raising awareness through Hello of all the aspects of communication is so important. One of the key ways I think we did this was the ages and stages of booklets that went out to all schools. Yesterday I went to a mental health and wellbeing conference, and there was a lot of talk about inclusion and the whole school approach, and I think by giving and sending out this information to all teachers in all schools is a fantastic way forward. One of the other statistics that always amazes me on the back of what Vanessa was saying at the start is 20% of children in this country have some form of learning and communication difficulty. I think in 2011 that's absolutely appalling. Communication skills are at the heart of this, and I think through this work, this is the start of actually trying to get that much lower. On a personal level, as the governor of my daughter's large state secondary school in Hertfordshire, I take a close interest in special and additional needs, and it's easy to see the problems that arise in school and in later life from the failure to detect communication problems at an early age, and the impact this has on teenage years on confidence, exam results, career ambitions and personal relationships. Young people these days are easy targets, but the ones that I have met and know have ambition and desire to better themselves. It's our role, I think, as professionals, parents, governors and teachers to ensure that the next generation reach their full potential. We owe it to them to give the best. We owe it to them to give them the best possible future in today's challenging world. Hello raises this. Hello raises the issues of communication in all schools and helps move it up the agenda. The year hasn't all been hard work. I had the privilege of being on one of the judging panels that was chaired by Jonathan Douglas, very wittily and very expertly, and it was about as much fun as you could possibly have in 2 hours at work. It was really challenging. It was great to go through it, and just to reiterate, I think what everybody else has said, there were 10 really worthy candidates in there, and it was really hard. We got it down to 4 or 5, and then we had a massive scrap. And eventually we had to make a decision, but it was really, really, really hard. A couple of other things we did. Some of us took part in the head, shoulders, knees and toes world record attempt for the Checkerboard Challenge in the canteen down here. I think for the members of the building that weren't involved in it, it probably looked a bit odd. 5 minutes, that's quite tiring, so that's why I never go to the gym. For me though, the personal sort of highlight was that there was 9 of us in September did the National Three Peaks Challenge, I can never say that word, challenge, to raise awareness and money for the campaign. It all started well. Ben Nevis was a breeze. There was a slight air of fear, I could say, and trepidation as we got into sort of Walsdale Head car park to climb Scarfell Pike at 1 o'clock in the morning in the pitch black and the rain with zero visibility. We managed to do that, but at the top, basically, we got up to GPS satellites. You could not see a thing. And at that point, we managed to lose 6, well, not lose 6 months, they got back down again. They decided that enough was enough. So we created a new walk, which was the Twin Peaks for them. And I'm still waiting for those 6 to speak to me, and they're refusing to do any of our challenges that we've planned for next year. 3 of us managed to get to the top of Snowdon, which was great, and although we didn't manage to do it in the allotted 24 hours time, it was a great way of raising money, it was a great way of raising awareness for their campaign. And it was a great thing for us to do as a team as well, so hopefully we'll do more of those things in the coming years. Right, to finish off, I'd just like to offer my personal thanks to the dedication and professionalism to everyone concerned with the campaign this year, but in particularly to everyone at the Communication Trust BT and the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapists. I think their dedication and enthusiasm is an inspiration to us all. And talking of inspiration, I think to all the incredible young people and carers that I've talked to at the event over the course of the year, this is why we're all here and why the work must continue. At Pearson, our motto is always learning. I hope students who use our products are always learning, and we are always learning as a company. Part of this is our social responsibility, putting something back. Working with Hello this year has been an inspiration. The Shine a Light Awards mark the end of a successful national year, but I hope the start of a more successful partnership of all the groups involved, and I look forward to Pearson Assessment continuing to support this great campaign in the coming years. I'd now like to hand over to Leslie to introduce the next award.
Thank you very much.
going in with 3 weeks challenge because I'm a speech therapist and the height of my heels.
Speech therapist, did it? That's the problem.
Anyway, it's been a very great privilege to be here today and to have been involved in the Hello campaign, and actually to be able to present one of the Outstanding Achievement Awards, which is so well deserved. And being on this panel was really inspirational to see the very best of the best and try and make a decision. And I'm very pleased to say that this award is going to go to Watercliff Meadow Primary School. And yeah, just to say, we didn't give them an award because of their name. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to a school that's called Watercliff Meadow? But we were absolutely inspired by their strategic vision and their wonderful example and model that actually could probably be used by so many schools in the country. And one of the things they do is a whole school approach to speech, language and communication. They involve every single person, from every child that comes in to their nursery, gets assessed for language at 3, 4 and 5 years old. And we know that early intervention is so key to helping these children achieve success in life. And so they make sure that children don't actually slip through the net and they get the help that they need. And in addition to that, every teacher in the school has actually had additional training in some kind of language just needs. One of the things is their quality circle that they have, and so they have such good quality time in their circles that children can actually debate issues, and it helps them to communicate. And as one of the results of this is that their behavioural, poor behaviour incidents in the playground have gone down enormously. What was mentioned earlier is their canteen and their social seating in the canteen, where they could all chat and be very grown up and talking about things. And they go right through the school. They employ a speech and language therapist part-time as well. There's great partnership between them. They've actually had parent workshops. They get very, very good uptake with new parents coming to school, going on these workshops. And this is an area of high social deprivation, so it's not saying that this is a school that has all the facilities. They actually make this happen, and they're very well deserved for now.
Cliche goes, and in this case it's absolutely true, by no means least, I am delighted to welcome Virginia Pearshaw, Chief Executive of the children's charity I Can, onto the stage to present the final award.
ICANN's job is to make sure that no child is left out or left behind because of a difficulty with speaking or understanding. So it gives me real joy to present today possibly the most important award of all, which is to an individual young person, to Holly Tadman. I'm going to ask Holly to hang on for a minute and get used to the idea, which I can see is she's doing. But just while I explain a little bit about why she has won this Outstanding Achievement Award. 5 years ago, Holly really found it impossible to speak to anybody outside her immediate family circle and a very few close friends. In the 5 years since that time, she has made just amazing progress, and it makes my throat go tight to even think of it. I'm looking at her mother, whose throat is doubtless very tight as well. And what's happened is that actually through her own courage and bravery and
the help of her speech therapist, Emma, who is also here. Lucky, I didn't know you were, Emma. It's really nice to see you. Holly has blossomed. She's was a big player in the Brownies. She actually was brave enough to attend a 1,000-person guiding event, and she also, as well as developing her speaking and listening skills at school, and she's attending a mainstream school for 2 days a week and talking and joining in completely now. She has represented Great Britain at the Special Olympics in Athens. So Holly, oh, wow.
Well done, Holly. So we've come to the end of the award categories, ladies and gentlemen. What an extraordinary group of people you are. They told me you would be. I'm absolutely bowled over, not to mention somewhat tearful. It's been, I might be having a hot flush, actually. Blimey, amazing, very, very emotional. So let's put our hands together once again, if you will, for the winners and the highly commended finalists of the Shine a Light 2011 Hello Campaign Award. And a privilege to be your host, and I do look forward to having a good chat with you and hearing more about it all afterwards. But before I invite Anita back on the stage to close the awards, I do have the honour of introducing a brand new film. It's been made especially to celebrate the Shine a Light Awards this year, so do please sit back and enjoy it.
Hello and welcome to this film about the winners of the Shine a Light Awards in this, the National Year of Communication. In my role as England's Communication Champion for Children, I've had the real privilege of meeting and visiting most of the organisations that have been selected for an award this year. The work they do is truly outstanding, and I hope by watching this film you'll be inspired to find out more about what they do and to think yourself about what you can do to improve children's communication skills.
Is it rolling?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't taught it to me to talk and communicate in our own special way.
I think life for Jack has been a series of ups and downs. He didn't really move until he was 4 or 5, and even then it was kind of like just a wiggle across the floor. He didn't walk until he was 8, and he didn't talk until he was 8. And now we can't shut him up, can we?
Yeah, no you can't. I like to Sundays. I do a Manchester runs, Yorkshire, Great Northern, and I also do 19s too. So also I help charities such as people such as myself.
she's quite confident now to speak to people, knowing that she can get her words out to be understood. Holly comes out with little ideas and goals, like, you know, what she wants to achieve with judo or with being a young leader for Brownies.
I've done a marathon course and some other people in my judo club have done some.
It's a lot better than what I had when I was younger and that. So I find keep working at it, it's going to get even better.
All children deserve a chance regardless of age, special needs. Without the help and need of local people and local businesses, you know, the children won't flourish and be able to work within the work placements. The opportunities within the communication needs, we sort of do work-based placements within the store. They could range from 6 months to a year.
Made me feel more determined to work.
It learnt me to build my self-esteem up and communication skills, and that's how I finally got a job there.
All our children are part of language groups, so we have sometimes up to 17 different language groups going on in nursery. So we look carefully at activities that go on outside and in our cafe, so that there's lots and lots of opportunities to develop their social skills and language skills through play.
The strategy is a partnership approach, so we work with partners across the city. Here where I am now, that's one of our key partners, Watercliff Meadows School, but with other services, the multi-agency support teams, health service, the cultural industries, business communities, the universities, and so on. So it's truly a city-wide strategy.
The team is a really close team. They work at different children's centres, but they do a lot of joint working together. The play and communication workers do cover each other's services. We never ever cancel services. We've got a real rule about, you know, the services are for the community.
I find it really helpful. I've done a course here as well, and that helped me with Ronnie, because I learned there was other things I didn't know what I wasn't doing right, so I was teaching Ronnie that when I got home. And his speech has come on really well since I've been coming.
And they come into a comfortable environment, a natural comfortable environment where there's various activities set up which support the children's language and communication development. We often, you know, run each other's groups, you know, if there's any annual leave or anything like that, so we're constantly liaising with each other through email or on the phone, you know, any planning ideas and things like that. So we all get on really well, I've got to say.
Communication is the key skill, and as the children develop, that helps with their behaviour, their social skills.
We go through all the children and have a look at their listening, speech and attention skills, and it highlights if the children are either at risk or delay or they're as expected.
And we really do see a difference when we feel that we support them fully.
Yeah, UEA Nursery is a great nursery. It's really a relaxed and caring atmosphere, and the children always seem really happy. We've always been struck by the nursery's enthusiasm to support Noah and his communication needs, and to learn signing and to become deaf aware.
Yeah, I mean, they've been really supportive ever since Noah started. So everybody was willing to learn to sign and really support him, and all the children are learning to sign as well with him. So he just feels very confident. It's great.
Initially, we were finding across the whole of the city that around 64% of children presented with significant delays with language, particularly with understanding and with expressive language. Over the last 7 years since Stoke Speaks Out began, we've actually reduced that to around 39%, which is a really significant impact.
What our teams have done is to try and take a true multi-agency approach to our communication and language strategy.
The help that we've received locally through all the services has been absolutely amazing. They've helped Harry as a little boy individually and us as a family.
One of the main roles that our team does is the transition of children either from home into settings that they may attend or into their school placement. Okay, the benefits of the multi-agency approach in Stoke-on-Trent is that we are very much of the attitude that communication is everyone's business. It's not just the work of speech therapists, it's really embedded and it's mainstreamed across all of the services that we work in.
Yeah, well, prioritising speech and language services is important to Worcestershire because both what national evidence has said but also what parents and schools have told us is that speech and language communication skills are a fundamental building block for learning.
Commissioning may not sound as glamorous as some of the other Shine a Light awards, but actually it is the key to better services for children and young people. Commissioners, if they're good, they need to know how to understand the needs in their area. They need to involve the users of services like parents, children, young people. They need to know what good looks like. They need to know how to measure the impact of what they've done. Now, all of those things is what I've seen Worcestershire do so very, very well.
The Bristol Hello Group have been set up probably about 18 months. Well, I think overall the main thing is that we've raised awareness about the importance of communication across the board from early years up until adolescence, how communication will really impact on outcomes for children and young people as they enter adulthood.
I think the Hello campaign provided us with a platform to launch everything. Staff have taken time to meet because they realise that the impact that this could have on their students, and some of them are looking at vocabulary and extending students' vocabulary. Some teachers are looking at the way students present themselves through their speech in classrooms and looking at how we can improve behaviour.
Throughout life, positive relationships are built on clear two-way communication. Young people need the confidence to express their opinions, emotions and feelings.
This is what we've done, and we've kind of been proven to say that it's been working, and we want to really do some more things. We want to do some more projects, some more training, and just kind of continue it.
The work of the team is invaluable. They have helped us help teachers through training based here at Tunmarsh, and then also for me and my individual work with them, modelling programs and strategies to help them improve the communication skills of those young people.
We've been rolling out programs to schools for staff to carry out to develop speech and language skills, as we know that speech and language skills in early years are the milestones for reading and literacy skills in later on in life. So we want to build on those foundation skills as soon as possible. I think our team is fantastic. We have lots of therapists who have such good specialisms, and we always roll off each other. We always ask each other for advice, and it always feels so natural to go and talk to your team with any kind of difficulties or even with some kind of progress you've made, so that you can always say, yes, we're the best.
I'm not 18. 17, 18. Nugget.
Children with SLCM.
Okay, press the man that we've given. Sorry, we'll cut that out.
Language. That was wrong, Sandra.
Skills that help with early learning to build on. That didn't make sense for everyone.
It's alright, no worries. Take it free then.
Our project manager, are you strategy manager, sorry? Program manager, I see, I've got it wrong. The
Okay, no, that's good. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate. Yeah.
Yes, I like that. Yeah,
It's alright.
I did so much.
Yeah, cool. And then children to come along to.
Sorry, can we just? It's okay. The jangling of the bracelets.
Speech and language team of new.
It's alright.
It's alright. It's so embarrassing, you know. I'm trying to make out that, you know, oh, this is normal.
Ethos, the welcome, the way parents Wait, sorry.
It's all right, no worries.
Do you mind if I start the spelling again?
Yeah, do you want to start again?
Yeah, sorry, I just realised.
That's brilliant. I think that's everything we need.
Yeah, that's perfect, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't speak sound. Stoke speak sound.
Oh, can we cut? Sorry, I think Jill's in the background. Just think, it's very dark.
What toy he wants.
Just straight.
I know.
Way too much stuff.
Have you
I just like to say, everybody who's watching this down, just listen to it carefully, because everybody shouldn't talk, like I said. Everybody shouldn't talk in the old sexual life. If you cannot do something, just keep on trying. And if you can't talk or sign, just keep on trying. Because eventually, like me, you will do it. And if the doctor tells you can't do it, don't delete them, because you can. And I delete in you.